Hi, Petra. Hello, Mr. President.
I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad to hear you, and it is good to know that you have a time to talk to me. Thank you very much.
Always, always.
Well, dear Radek, I hope that you know that what is going on without our aid, without assistance from different places where we would like to get any attention through all this time. But you know what? That situation on the front line is really, really terrible.
I know. We were very surprised that the mobilization was the decision on mobilization was taking so long, and we are ready to help with encouraging your citizens in Poland to help defend their fatherland. And we will be helping more in training Ukrainian citizens here in Poland. You know, Poland has supported the Czech ammunition initiative. We support the financing from the European Peace Facility. We've been very active in encouraging the Americans. There are various ideas on the table, some of which are non-public.
As I know, I talked to other presidents and with other people from your country. It's not easy to send our citizens in Ukraine at this moment. So I see the problem because it's not so easy to send people who are not have something as a problem with the law in Ukraine. It's not so easy to send them here. So well,
first of all, we are sending those who break the law in Poland. We send them back. And secondly, we need Ukraine to tell us exactly what Ukraine wants us to do with Ukrainian citizens in the European Union. So, you know, we don't want Ukrainian citizens to start moving around the EU searching for the best deal. It should be a pan-European decision. So, for example, there was an idea that those who avoid the draft should not get social security payments.
Right. It's absolutely right. I agree with you.
Which I think is correct. You know, people should not be paid for being draft dodgers.
I agree totally. But if you will find the special list of people who we really need, who is going out of Ukrainian army and they are hiding in Poland, is it possible that you can help us to give that people back?
At the moment, as far as I know, we would have to have an arrest warrant from your side. So you would have to have some kind of accelerated procedure for issuing arrest warrants.
And corruption. They are trying to build some defending buildings around the border, and it led to great disaster.
Well, corruption is the shortest and fastest way for Ukraine to lose Western support. We are hearing the same stories. If they're confirmed, then the willingness to spend European money on Ukraine will evaporate very quickly, and that could be very bad for your country.
And then electricity, also the problem
This I think is the biggest threat to Ukraine now. I'm told by your side that 70% of the electricity producing capacity has now been destroyed. So, you know, I tell my people that if this gets worse, then large parts of Ukraine will become uninhabitable, and we will have another huge wave of refugees.
This is problem. This is problem because also, how do you feel I know that Zelensky, he's my opponent. He's trying to arrange peace negotiations. How do you feel that? Is it time to talk to anyone?
Okay. Can I be absolutely frank with you out of friendship?
Yeah,
You might not like what I'm about to say.
yeah, I know, I know.
Namely,
This is why this is interesting for me. I respect your position, but you
okay.
can talk
So
me. You can tell me everyone.
I thought you made a mistake, and I told you not to do it when you entered into the Normandy formula, when it
Yeah,
then transmogrified into the Minsk formula, because the previous formula, Geneva,
yeah,
was Russia, Ukraine, US, EU, which I think
yeah,
would have been better for you. And I am afraid that Zelensky may make the same mistake. In other words, get into a formula over which Ukraine loses control. 140 countries, again, telling the Russians to withdraw.
yeah,
I don't think it'll work. I don't think Putin is susceptible to moral pressure.
yeah.
And in the process of attracting as many countries as possible, your demands might be diluted and may be managed by other countries. What interest does South Africa or India or Brazil have in the borders of Ukraine?
As I know, they are trying to be close to Russia. What we tried. We tried
Or
a
neutral,
lot.
they want this thing to go away, and they are perfectly happy for Ukraine to pay the price.
I think that the all resolution of this war will be found on the front line.
Maybe helped by the United States. The United States' interests and yours are not identical, but they know that their credibility is at stake. So, either this administration or the next can't sell you down the river, because that would affect their credibility vis-à-vis all America's allies.
We can count on the US only because you know that the next president could be worse than this one.
I talk to Trump's people,
Yeah.
and they tell us, we don't know what Trump will really do, but what they're telling us is that Trump would threaten Putin with escalation in order to get a better deal. I'm just repeating what I was told, okay?
But yeah, I know. But any other deal, it looks like the threat to us. Any deal that Trump threatens to Russia, any deal looks like a threat to us.
Well, it all depends on how long you can sustain this war.
We are trying not to be Ukraine in the frame of Lviv region. I hope so.
Right. You mustn't lose Odessa, and you mustn't let them come close to the river.
But I think that if we will lose some control, could you help us? And as I know, if Macron agreed, if the UK agreed, could you join the team?
My prime minister would be very reluctant to do it. We are discussing at the moment the shooting down of Russian cruise missiles over your airspace from our airspace, without entering into your territory. And even that, at this stage, is very, very controversial. And there is no agreement for that, because it would be joining the war.
So Poland is not ready to defend our country, right? I mean, no.
Things might change if Ukraine, if the front started to collapse, things might change. But at the moment, there is zero willingness to do that. I have to tell you. I mean, we all think these scenarios, right? But we we don't want to confirm what Medvedev and Putin and the Russian propaganda have been saying all along.
We are fighting for your independence.
I know. But training Ukrainian citizens in Poland, this is doable, and I think we will do. So we hope to be able to train a brigade or two for you this year or next. But Polish soldiers inside Ukraine, not doable.
So unless there was a peace
agreement, unless there was a peace agreement and these were peacekeeping forces, UN or something, then it's different, maybe.
I agree with that. I agree with that. But what is the opinion from your opponents, from Duda, from their party?
On Ukraine, we mostly have national consensus. We all, there is not much difference on Ukraine and on defense, in fact.
Yeah. I know that because when I talked to Kwasniewski and other people, they told that it is really important to take Ukraine into NATO. But if they take Ukraine into NATO, they will be members of the conflict and they will absolutely join the conflict with Russia. So how do you feel? Is it possible to take us in the alliance in the short time?
The NATO attitude is somewhat hypocritical. What NATO is saying, you can become a member of NATO once you've won the war and you don't need it.
So
I think some of our West European friends are using the idea of Ukraine joining NATO as a bargaining chip with Russia, which is maybe not a bad thing. Withdraw from Ukraine, and then we promise you Ukraine will not be in NATO. And if you don't withdraw and we freeze the conflict, then the rest of Ukraine will be in NATO. Maybe this is the kind of calculation they're making.
It's kind of laughing.
Because but you know as well as I that there is no willingness to have a war with Russia in Western Europe. This is an absolute red line.
Yeah, I understand. But Macron is trying to give this idea to other countries. And
I think it's useful to make Putin wonder what we will do, which is why I've been supporting Macron publicly. We should not be daring ourselves. We should not be saying what we will never do. Let Putin worry about what we will do. And
so you are trying to make him worry. This is why
I think it's useful.
And what about your opinion about the EU? Because Ursula also said that they tried to find a special way how we can join the EU. What is your opinion?
Joining the EU will happen in stages, just like it happened for us.
Yeah.
So, first you join the deep and comprehensive free trade area under the association agreement. This is happening already. Then you join the visa-free regime. This has happened already. Then one day you will join politically, which is to say the flag will be raised and your minister and prime minister will join the council. But it will then take some time before you join the Schengen zone, before the transition periods run out, and so on. So, it's a process that will take a decade or more.
Right. So not so far.
In other words, don't be misled by the word negotiation, because you're not, meeting halfway between the EU. All you can negotiate over is the length of the transition periods. And if you're told otherwise, this will be by people who don't want you to join, who want to delay the process. And the absolutely hardest chapter to negotiate will be agriculture. Because your agriculture is too good, it's too competitive.
Yeah.
You have these huge farms, you have really good soil, and you know, in Poland, the average land holding is 11 hectares.
Right.
So your membership will force a complete revision of the common agricultural policy, which is a really difficult political problem inside the EU and the member states.
I agree. So Europe doesn't need it so much as they
And
feel.
also remember that it will be a question of power. You are a large country. So the balance of power inside the EU will be changed by your membership. Ukraine and Poland together will have more votes in the Council and more members of parliament than Germany.
Yeah. Well, it is problem. It is problem because we had already the problems with your farmers, and I know that Zelensky tried to make a meeting with Donald Tusk or your Minister of Agriculture, but that meeting was failed. So
that was a propaganda stunt that we didn't like.
And let me tell you my big thanks. I know that you contributed a great role in the time of Yanukovych, and I know that you signed the agreement with him, but you knew that it is not possible to stay him on the power for long.
I thought that his regime would collapse in a matter of months, but it collapsed in a matter of hours.
But when you signed, did you expect that so fast?
No. You know, they told us during the negotiations that he was going to Donetsk. And the idea was that he would show in the East that he has support. And then it looked like an escape.
Because I knew that all the ministers who signed that document, all of them knew it is just a moment for not so long time.
Sure. And they were telling us, please don't put us on the EU sanctions list. I tried my best.
I did.
And you, of course, played a key role during the Maidan.
How do you think about nuclear weapon in Poland? So, what is position of you? What is position?
This talk is very unhelpful. We have told the president to stop talking about it. It's unhelpful, completely unhelpful. It won't happen, and it's and public talk about it is not useful.
But why he is talking about it a lot?
He is in his last year of office. He's feeling a little sidelined, and he's, I think, just trying to attract attention to himself. And it's harmful because, you know, there are these American nuclear weapons in Germany and in Holland where there is potential for so-called peace movements, and it just attracts attention to an issue which is difficult for others.
Well, but if you think there is not something bad if you will have a nuclear weapon in your country, you can be.
It does. Look, it does. Those are American warheads, and the program of nuclear sharing is just delivering warheads that are not under your control. So it's like being a postman who has $1 million check, who feels important because as if this $1 million was his. It's not his.
Well, you're right, but probably Russia will be afraid of you.
No, whether the warheads are in Germany or in Poland, what difference does it make?
Well, I think that Russia will never attack Germany. For me, as I think.
Whereas it might attack targets in Poland.
So
that would
if you will have a nuclear weapon, they will never attack you.
No, all we would have, Petro, would be the storage for nuclear weapons. The nuclear weapons wouldn't be ours.
Oh.
They would be a little bit like the Ukrainian nuclear weapons in the early 90s. You had them physically, but you couldn't actually use them.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And you had a much greater number of them.
Yeah, we sent it to Russia back. But it was not useful as we wanted.
It was probably a mistake, yes, at the time.
What do you think about Nord Stream 2? So Nord Stream 2, they're trying to accuse us for this problem. But
both
of us know.
In Poland, the way we feel about it, whoever did it did a good job. And we now know that the Americans had advanced knowledge of it.
Yeah.
And didn't stop it.
But you know who was the people who tried to explode it? I know.
We have our suspicions. We read the newspapers.
Yeah, I know. One of them, I am 100% sure, was Ukrainian. But it is top secret.
Well, that's what the German papers say, so they must be true.
May I ask you about the problem with... I didn't raise the one issue about your also neighbor, about Belarus. What is going on with them?
The real problem is that they are they're inviting people from Africa and Southern Asia to Moscow and to Minsk, and then they force them across the border. That's 300-400 per day. And
I read that recently some judge has left Poland and moved to Belarus.
They seem to have recruited a Polish judge who defected. I mean, crazy people happen, you know. He will have a very miserable existence in Belarus, I think.
You can help their opposition. I mean, their opposition, Tikhanovskaya or any other people.
Sure, so, and you know, we have relations with them, but they shouldn't do anything prematurely because the regime is very repressive, you know, and Russia has, you know, long-standing influence there. So my working assumption is that things will only change in Belarus after they change in Russia, not before.
Oh. So it is not the first step.
No, they will be crushed.
But we had a chance with Tikhanovskaya and other people who are trying to move him from his position.
Only if there was a change of power in Moscow, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. But we have to try. We already have a.
You have to get ready for the right moment. Good to see you.
And I hope that you can resolve all your problems with your opponents, with your other people. Hope to see you in person now in Kyiv. If you will be there, if you will be here, just let me know.
Inshallah. Bye-bye.
Inshallah. Okay. Perfect.
Bye.
Thanks.